Yeah, that's a good question. I think meditation really helped me. It's a special form of meditation. It's called mental rehearsal meditation. So I mentally rehearse certain things, and I train myself right before I actually enter the unknown, because before I actually really enter the unknown, I saw these pictures already, like many times. So I experienced everything and mentally rehearsed on that.
This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today to start turning your dreams into a reality. Hey, ladies and gents. So, before I get into this episode, I want to read a review because I recently heard that you can actually buy reviews. It's so silly how we live in a world nowadays where the leader can get to the top by having more money. Or we live in a world where people can actually get away with murder. Literally murder. And I'm not going to say names directly, but they can get away with murder without even going to jail because they have a lot of money. And so I think money is very important because it allows you to do things that you would not rather have the ability to do. But sometimes you gotta become so rich that you create things money can't buy. You know what that means? That means you create something that is something that you can't just exchange for a simple dollar. And I think that's relationships. You can try to buy someone's love, but it just is not the same. So, that's my little wisdom for today. Anyways, the review that I wanted to read off is from Teo Roxon, and he says, "The way mental health is discussed today leaves little to be desired. So I'm so glad that there's finally a podcast that reminds many people all over the world that they aren't alone." And this podcast has changed since then. It's not really a mental health podcast. It's more of called Scratch Your Own Itch for a reason. Whatever person interests me, whatever makes them tick is interesting. Whatever brings them completely alive. Whatever really is that thing that they're trying to constantly solve. That's the person that is going to come onto this show. So maybe you're a person who you believe has a story that needs to be shared. I would love for you to friend me on Facebook. My link's in the show notes. And I'd even love more if you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. And you join a community that allows you to live a more compassionate, curious, and creative lifestyle. Because I know for a fact that when you do this, you will become so much more alive. So, enjoy this interview, though, that I have with Matthias. And I want you to really listen to how he operates in the world. He really is an interesting dude. He's from a completely different country. And he left it all, man. He left it all. He had so much going for him. He had an agency that was representing talent that was equivalent to people that are in Hollywood right now. And he had to kind of find himself and go, do I really want this? Do I just want this agency? He took a leap. And he really faced fear in the eyes. Why? Because he wanted to change. He wanted to test himself. So, listen how he's testing himself. And enjoy. And please, don't ever forget that I will always know deep in my heart that it means the world to me. That you're exchanging your valuable time to listen to this podcast instead of anything else. And I really appreciate you. And so, if right now you're listening to this, please don't take another second to just message me on Facebook or email me about any problem you have, or how maybe you're trying to figure something out, but you're just having a hard time figuring out. I want to be there for you. I want you to be part of my community. I want you to succeed in the only way you know how, and that's by scratching your own itch. So, without further ado, enjoy this interview with Matthias and myself. So my curiosity question for you is, have you ever questioned your values on trust? Okay, let me set the tone. You know, death is coming, but there's still this thing inside of you that tries to control the outcome of everything you do. And you go on believing that everything you do will set you up perfectly for the perfect death, right? Well, maybe not so much. I mean, if you're afraid of taking a risk and really going into the fear and somehow ruining your life and your future, I want to let you know, first off, you're not alone. But I also know that, honestly, none of us are getting out of here alive. So why do we even worry about our future so much? That doesn't mean really that just because, I say that we're not getting out of here alive, that you can just do whatever you want. Making big changes is terrifying, especially when you are about to travel a road you've never traveled on before. My guest today has mastered the art of following his instincts and trusting his new path. Although it's super uncomfortable for a lot of us, this guy knows that by trusting his instincts, he knows that through the power of presence and developing resilience, Matthias Hunkeller is here to share his story and dig deep on why you need to trust your instincts and allow yourself to just be curious. Allow yourself to travel the world. Allow yourself to be in a place you've never been before. He was living in Switzerland, and he left one of the most prestigious, most prominent talent agencies in Switzerland, and he managed over 30 different celebrities, ranging from TV presenters, comedians, models, and keynote speakers. The talent agency ended up selling, though, and now he's on a new venture to travel the world and build a better art of trusting his instincts. So, without further ado, I've been talking a lot, and I want you to meet the one and only Matthias Hunkeller. And if I screwed that name up at all, please correct me, Matthias.
No, that was good, Logan. Thank you so much for having me. That was a pretty cool intro. Thank you.
Oh man, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Of course. Pleasure, Logan.
So right away, someone's probably going, "Oh, I like this guy's accent. It's very unique." So I want to know your story. I want to know, first of all, the mission of the show is to make people feel less alone, and also to
Mhm.
propel people into scratching their own itch by, really, I guess, fixing the problems in the only way they know how. So in doing that, I know you're a curious man. What sort of like question do you think you constantly are asking yourself in order to scratch your own itch?
Um, that's a really good question. I think it's it's a question I ask myself every morning, and it's a question on how do I get better today? How can I step out of my comfort zone? And I think it's a process or a journey that in a way will never end, right? Um, it needs work. It needs a lot of work to be. I call it that prime state, right? That prime state, and the prime state is a very present state. It's a high energy state, and there are different ways to actually go into such a state. Like movement is one practice, or meditation, or breathing, or connecting with nature, or reading. So there are many different ways of entering a prime state. And I think as soon as you are in a prime state, it's way easier to leave your comfort zone and to do something different every single day. Yeah.
Wow, man, I love that. I love the everlasting question that you ask. Because no, that's the game of life, right? Once you solve the problem, well, lights out, let's turn it off. Let's be done. But that question of just asking yourself, how can you become better and how can you stay in the prime state? And it's an everlasting answer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because like I always thought, like years ago, like 10 years ago, when I was studying in Switzerland, I did a bachelor in finance and banking, and I always thought, when I have the bachelor degree, like then the life really starts, like then I will have an amazing job and everything. And as soon as you reach that point, you realize, then like all right, like there's something else and there's something else, like you start a job and you have other goals, and then maybe you are thinking about already the next thing. So it kind of never stops. It's this race, which in a way is also amazing, right? But you have to realize that it keeps on going, right? It's not an end point that will make you happy in the end. It's always the process, and I learned within the last few years to kind of to detach myself from end results a little bit more, to enjoy more the process I'm in, yeah, the journey.
Hey, Logan Tyler Nelson here. I would so appreciate it if you took some time to hit the subscribe button. I really want to just honestly live and give. Why? Because I was told when I was young that if you're feeling down, the best way to feel better is by lifting someone up again. So, in an effort to make someone feel less alone, please hit the subscribe button so the podcast has a better chance of being found and making someone feel less alone. And if you're feeling down, hey, it can help you. Know that by hitting that subscribe button, you just did someone a huge favor. So thank you for hitting that subscribe button. That's amazing. I love that you talk about process as you say it. We say process out here. but this just different ways of saying things. And I want to ask you though, what do you think is the one skill that allowed you to just dig into the uncomfortability and to do things that, well, really tested you as a human being? And how did you develop that? We call it resiliency out here, or develop that strength to just go into the unknown and to do that time and time again.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think meditation really helped me. It's a special form of meditation. It's called mental rehearsal meditation. So I mentally rehearse certain things, and I train myself right before I actually enter the unknown, because before I actually really enter the unknown, I saw these pictures already, like many times. So I experienced everything. And to mentally rehearse something, like when you mentally rehearse something, it's not only visualizing something, it's also feeling, right? So let's say I travel the world, like I go to Colombia, I see all these images, but I also feel like I feel happy to be there. I feel grateful for meeting all these people. So I kind of prepare myself for the process, and then it becomes a little bit easier to then really enter the unknown, because you trained before you did it.
I love it. I love it. We've got to know more of your story though. Who
Let's do it.
who am I really talking to when I ask you this question? What is the story of Matthias Hunkeller? And I know that's a big question, but I'd love for you to take us down that story about when you almost got in a near-death experience with an accident, and what happened behind that.
Yeah, as you said, I'm from Switzerland. I used to be a private banker for almost 10 years in Switzerland, and at one point I just wanted to leave to do something different, and it became kind of hard for me in bigger organizations, because it sometimes was more about the positions than about the ideas and the people, right? And when you're always full of ideas and you want to do things differently, you sometimes get stuck in a way. So, but it was amazing working for a bank. I learned a lot. I started with a bank apprenticeship many years ago. But then after 10 years, I quit, and I went to London and did a master's degree, and in management, because I didn't really know what to do. And it took me only 1 year to do that in London, and then I came back to Switzerland after 1 year, and I kind of coincidentally started to work for a talent agency. And after a few months in, I was able to take over the talent agency as the CEO. And that was a lot of fun. I managed a lot of very interesting people. And after another 3 years, I wanted to leave again, because me and my girlfriend Manuela wanted to travel the world. And you go.
I don't mean to interrupt, but is there anybody that we would know in the States from the talent agency that you represented?
No, not really.
Okay.
These were mostly Swiss people. Yeah, I think you don't really know these people. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I left the talent agency because I wanted to travel the world. So for me, like, it was never really like, of course, my career was always important, right? But I always thought that there is something else. I always wanted to explore, to leave my comfort zone. And then we decided to travel the world. We started here in Los Angeles and went all the way down to Bolivia. And after almost 1 year, that was kind of the last thing we did in Bolivia, was renting motorcycles, and we wanted to go to this famous salt desert, Salar de Uyuni. And after only like 10 minutes, these were like amazing motorcycles, like all Java motorcycles, and it was always a dream. Like a dream came true, yeah, to actually go to this salt desert with these motorcycles. And together with a small group of friends, we left Sucre, Bolivia in the late afternoon. And after only 10 minutes on the motorcycle, I looked back to my girlfriend saying, hey, Manuel, I've never felt so free. This is definitely my highlight of this journey. And a few seconds later, we got hit by a car and almost died. A very drunk driver crossed the line in a curve and hit us frontally. And yeah, what happened afterwards was crazy, because like the medical infrastructure is kind of inexistent in Bolivia. But man, we survived. And looking back, this kind of near-death experience was so impactful that it immediately changed my life. Yeah. And dude, this was a magic moment in a way. And I'm very thankful that this happened, because it showed me how short life can be in a way, and that it's almost impossible to control every output of life.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So, wow. So true. Like, honestly, I have talked a little bit about it. About 5 months ago, I tried killing myself, and having a near-death experience, yeah, it changes you. Definitely changes you. Yeah, I think any trauma that's really hard to go through is very relevant to that one person that's listening right now, or very relevant to anybody at all that just goes, okay, I've never gotten to a near-death experience, but I've certainly felt hardship by having my heart broken, by being fired from a very important job, or like you know, not only the near-death experience, but leaving something that you identified your entire life with, which was to be a manager at a talent agency and to oversee so many people, and then to go, I need to leave with it. But what I really am, like, honestly super curious about is there a real new way that you think that someone could actually start looking at their day and go, okay, as if I was gonna, like, what's that one question that you would ask that someone that's really trying? I'm stumbling with this question right now, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's that one question that you would ask someone, if you could right now, that would prod them into actually being okay with uncertainty?
Yeah. I think, I mean, we both kind of had these dramas in our life, and that now looking back, it was kind of magical, right? Because it helped us, it guided us, right? But I think you don't really need to have a drama in your life in able to do all these changes, right? So back to your question, I think this is something like the old Greeks already did. Like they primed themselves in the morning, right? There's this famous book from Marcus Aurelius. You might know it. It's called Meditations. And what they do in the morning, they meditate on their death. So they visualize or mentally rehearse their own death, and it helps them realize how short life is, and how important like relationships are and everything, and it just brings in another perspective. And you know, sometimes the death is like the big elephant in the room, you know, like it's always there, but you try to, you know, like, how can I put this? You try to like ignore the elephant, right? But it's always there. So better like look him into his eyes and then like you can actually build up an amazing relationship with this elephant, and then it helps you. It really, really helps you. Yeah, because death, like whether it could suddenly hit you, right? Whether it's someone that is really close to you or whatever. So it's kind of always there. So I think it really, really helps when you look the elephant into his eyes. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much. I love Marcus Aurelius. I've never read the meditation books, but what I'm getting out of this is
It's really good.
yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's a short read. It's a short read.
Can't wait. Oh, that's exciting, man. I'm super. I like short and sweet reads, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. Otherwise, I forget everything I read.
Right? Oh, I know.
Right? Sometimes, yeah.
So what I'm getting though from this is you don't need to go through a trauma to allow yourself to start living a life that is worth living, which I think is done by slowing down. That's what you're kind of saying is your instincts actually they start becoming better when you slow down, or your trust in yourself and your intuition actually becomes heightened when you slow things down.
Exactly, Logan. That's key. And I think when you slow down and when you enter a prime state, it's also easier to accept. So many people, they try to really, really plan their lives, right? And I learned not to plan so much, or just plan less and try more. And it helps me to accept uncertainty and embrace the volatility of life. And I train myself basically for being in a flow state, and I call it flow state, this high energy state. And this is such a beautiful journey because I completely detach myself then from the end result. And this is actually something I learned from the author Nassim Nicholas Taleb. And he said it in a very, very nice way. He said, wind extinguishes a candle and energizes fire. Likewise with randomness, uncertainty, and chaos. You want to use them, not hide from them. You want to be the fire and wish for the wind.
Hey friends, so let me ask you real quick. Are you someone who's trying to get more visibility? Who's trying to be in front of the crowd? Well, if that's you, I want to let you know that first of all, you're not alone. Second of all, if you want to get on more podcasts, or ones that actually scratch your own itch, meaning maybe you have a book, or a business, or maybe you do speaking, or if you don't yet do speaking, maybe you can, and maybe you'd love to. Well, I put something together for you, and in this little giveaway, I'm going to show you how to pitch yourself or podcasts, and how to actually be professional when you show up so you can be the next authority in your niche, so you can start scratching your own itch. I know what it's like to build something, create something, and then there just be crickets. No one wants that. You need to be seen. You need to be heard because you have a message to share. A message that is worthy of hearing. Podcasts nowadays, more than ever, are being consumed by people. And guess who's actually learning the knowledge that's being shared? It's podcast listeners. It gives you a license to be an authority in whatever area you really dream of being an authority in. So if this at all starts to give you a little itch to scratch, just email Logan at logantylernelson.com. Again, that's Logan at logantylernelson.com. Back on. And we were talking about how planning and how he was addicted to planning.
Yeah, I was addicted to planning, and I realized that like I just planned and never, like, I didn't do anything then in the end, right? I was just planning. So I had to learn to plan less and actually do things then in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing how it works. So I feel like we got a sense of who you are. We got a sense of these awesome skills that you exercise within the world. I want to go into scratching the surface curiosity questions, where I just make people feel less alone and learn a little bit more about you. Okay?
Sure.
Sweet. So this is a giving questions question. And is there a thought that you're kind of ashamed about having, or something that you just keep thinking about, but you feel bad about thinking about it?
Not really. No, not
No?
really. No, I think no. I think I try to share my thoughts, and sometimes they are not really comfortable for like the people around me. But like I try to be very authentic and share my thoughts. Yeah. What about you? Do you have thoughts you don't share?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I've had at least two thoughts today where I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna I'm gonna steal this can of pop because I don't feel like paying for it. And then I don't do it, and then I go, sweet Logan, you're getting over your addiction to stealing. And then
Yeah.
and then there's other things, like, or
Yeah, I might have those thoughts as well. Yeah, you're right. But
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, if you have any of those thoughts, or anything that you're ashamed about sharing.
No, man, not really. No. Or
you're
not something
you're
that I
saying,
can think about right now. Yeah.
no worries, man. I want to move on to the next question, which is, if you got to just pick anybody that's living or dead and sit them in front of you and ask them one question, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
Dude, that's a really good question. I think there are so many people
Think of the
I would
first
love
person that
to
comes to mind.
meet. Um, like spontaneously, I think it's Joe Rogan, man. Just popped up. Joe Rogan, there he is. Joe
Yeah?
Rogan, the man. Yeah,
What would
just
you
popped
ask
up.
him?
I don't know why. Um, like, hmm, dude, Joe Rogan is such a talented dude. I would ask him something about the podcast. Like his podcast became so fucking big, so I would ask him how he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's a powerful, because we know why he did it. I think he did it because, well, he wanted to get his voice out there, but the how, it's like that's the $1 million question, is how do you do this thing?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. He was also like he was one of the first ones, right, in that podcast business, like many years ago. And man, he's an amazing interviewer, and he's still top of his game, right? Do you listen to his podcast sometimes?
sometimes I don't like listening
Sometimes.
to 3 hour things.
Yeah, it's too long, right? Yeah.
I just, because some of it's really good and some of it's just like really stupid. Um, and I guess it's subjective to even label it stupid. I just don't find it all so. I think the true fans that he has, which is a lot, will listen to the entire episode. Like I'm a big fan of Kelly Brogan. I listen to that
Uh-huh.
entire episode because she proves that big pharma and drugs for depression have actually been very harmful for anybody that
Yeah.
labels them with that. And
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that road. So we got to move on to the next question, which I'm just trying to save myself. I don't want to like tangent off that. And we're
Yeah,
just
that's
on
okay.
limited time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to ask you, what was a belief that you had 10 years ago that now, if you thought about yourself in that way, you've just gone, wow. And so what is that belief?
I mean, 10 years ago, I was working for a bank and had a pretty like normal life, which is, I don't mean that in a negative way. It was also a really cool life. But I always thought that this is how it works, right? I'm in the system and I have this job and I have to like grow within the organization and step up the career ladder. So looking back now, like I realized that this is not the only way to do things and to create in life. You can actually leave that and try out new path, right? And there's not this one job you learned 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and you have to do it till you die or till you retire, right? You can always change when it feels right, and it doesn't really matter how old you are. You can always learn, right? Even though sometimes you have to like make a step back in order to make 2 steps forward. And I think this is really, really true. Yeah. And I think when I look at the economy and at the technology, like the world is changing so fast right now. Even here, like we are very close here in Los Angeles to the Silicon Valley, and we have so many tech companies close to us. And dude, what they are developing right now, this is crazy, right? And now the whole cryptocurrency thing is getting big, and yeah, like the pace is faster, I would say, than it was a few years ago. Yeah. Which is in a way scary, but also like it also brings a lot of new opportunities for people. Yeah. I believe. Yeah.
Oh, I so agree. I love that answer through and through. Really cool. Because you can either be really scared of it, or you can just, the secret to success in anything is accept it, accept yourself, be consistent with whatever path you choose, and keep going.
Exactly.
But I got 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up, which is how can we support you?
I am about to launch a mentorship program. So if anyone of the listeners is interested in joining that, I think I will put it up within the next few days. And yeah, just connect with me. Yeah, that would be cool. Follow me on Instagram or on Twitter on Matthias Hunkeller or Prime Your State, and we will be in touch. That would be great.
Nice. I'll put that in the show notes so it's super easy to click onto.
Awesome.
And then last thing is you know what, we'll do 2. We'll do 2 more. Second to last thing is what do you think your favorite book is?
I love to read. I don't have this one favorite book, but one book I recently read that actually blowed my mind was *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind* by Yuval Noah Harari.
Yeah.
It's do you know it?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing, and
dude,
it's the way I operate my life now because of that book. Literally, I don't stop moving, dude. I'm talking to you right now on a recumbent bike, and I constantly am walking when I work on my computer because of that book.
Yeah, it's so crazy, right? And I think it's very well researched, and yeah, like we went all through all these revolutions, right? And the last one was, I think, the scientific revolution, and then like the thing he said in the end, the question he asked, right? Are we any happier right now? We have all these amazing gadgets. We get the food gets delivered, like everything. Like we have cars who like don't even need a driver anymore, right? And we are not really happier. I think that's crazy. So I think there is a huge lack of research into the history of happiness.
Yeah, I so agree, man. All right. Well, last thing, man, is there anything that you wish that I asked you?
I haven't thought about that because I knew, Logan, you're going to ask me amazing questions. So I actually, the, the wish I had, and I knew this will happen, is just like I wanted to enter this flow state with you, right? And then cool things will come up. But no, I didn't have a specific question in mind. I wanted you to ask me. All good.
Oh man, wow. So first of all, if you listen to this and you heard anything that I said or Matthias said and you loved it, please Facebook, Instagram, tweet it out, quote one of us, tag us in it, just get in contact with one of us, and it will be an opportunity for you to not just like listen to a podcast and then click the next podcast because you want to busy yourself with some other podcast and you just want to learn some more, but actually take time out of your day to actually like reach out and start influencing your life in a way that really speaks to you. If I'll tell you what, if any of this resonated with you, please reach out to one of us, because I know that we want to become friends with you before just like you become another customer or client or whatever. That's so stupid. I think just I prod you to be one of our friends, and I want to say thank you so much, Matthias, for coming on the show, man. You are just
Thank you, Logan.
Killing it, dude, killing it. So
thank you so much. So are you. I really, really love what you are creating, Logan, and the way you help people and the way you put it out there. So I want to acknowledge that. And that's amazing. Keep it up, brother. Yeah, amazing work.
Thank you, man. I will talk to you on a later date, my friend.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, there's another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to support the show by listening. The biggest compliment you could ever pay me is just by sharing this, because honestly, it doesn't take much, and it feels so good when people create something and take time. And when I see someone take time to create something that really just changed my day, either made me feel less alone, maybe put a smile on my face, made me laugh, made me feel wiser, I always want to share it with the world. Because why? When I share something that resonates with me, why not share it? I mean, that's just kind of the thing that goes around, and it's free. It takes no time at all other than just a click of the button, share, on either Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Any of those social media platforms would be great to share this. So I really appreciate it. And I want to say that anybody who's looking to gain authority or expertise in their area, and they don't want to take another year or year and a half to write a book and wait until that's published, I think the best way is right now is to start a podcast. So if you're at all interested in starting a podcast, if you meet the certain requirements, I would love to help you with a podcast and also get a website going for you as well. And this is not an easy task. It's hard to actually get it done and get it out there. So every now and then we need some help, and I'm here for you. So please reach me at Logan at LoganTylerNelson.com if you're interested at all. And don't ever forget, you matter and you're enough.